Mazziti and Sarah Shetler with Mazziti and Sullivan EAP Services, and that stands for Employee Assistance Programs. But before we get into the details of their program, I'd like to take a moment to welcome all of you to URL. I'm sure many of you have joined us before and know who you are, but for those of you who don't, I'd like to take a minute and give you an overview of our company and how we can further help you. This is our homepage at urlinsgroup.com, and on the left-hand side, you'll see we have an Annuities Solutions Department with Joe Corio as the director. We also have a Health Plan Options, which is basically all things health insurance, individual, group. Then we have ancillary and supplemental products. We have Life Markets, so we can help you with your life insurance needs. Steve Clem's there. We have Senior Care Products, and feel free to reach out to Karen McDaniel for any questions with Senior Care Products. And then we also have an internal marketing team and commissions team that can help out. So thanks to Jim McDaniel for helping put this webinar together and make sure that I don't mess it up. So we're going to go back to health plan options real quick. And, we're very interested today in helping you with products and services that would help you and your client in an employer setting. So employee benefits through a company. And through the health plan options, we can help you with group health, both fully insured and self-funded. And for the self-funded products, that is not limited to just Pennsylvania. So for those of you out of state, we can help you with that. The group ancillary, these are your group life and short-term, long-term disabilities, dental and vision plans. And these can be paid for by the company. It can be 100% employee paid, or the cost can be shared. We also have voluntary programs. We are contracted with many of the top voluntary carriers. So these would be your Aflacs, Allstates, Colonial Life Assurance, and Transamerica's of the world, and that list continues. We can also help through the use of technology for your groups so that they can enroll in their benefits. And last but not least, we can now help you with your clients' employee assistance programs. And I would say now more than ever before, employer groups are looking for programs that can help their employees live their life, basically. Times aren't getting any easier out there, and so the placement of an employee assistant program is gaining quickly in popularity. And in fact, your groups probably already have something in place, so I encourage you to get more information after today's webinar and see how their current program stacks up against Mazziti and Sullivan. So they not only happen to be right down the road from us, but they are also best in their class, locally, regionally, and probably nationally. I just haven't traveled far enough to see how far they reach. But I've worked with Chuck and Sarah for several months now, and they have what I consider to be the best program on the market. And I knew immediately that I wanted to work with them and share their services with all of you because they have a genuine care for others. They always put others before themselves, and their level of service is top-notch. And lastly, their attention to detail is something that I admire. The first time Sarah and I got together, her marketing materials were just out of this world. So now you know it, Sarah. I'm going to be stalking your marketing materials and figure out how I can put something together like that. So without further ado, I'd like to turn this over to Mazziti and Sarah Shetler with Mazziti and Sullivan Employee Assistance Programs, and we will take questions and answers at the end of the webinar.
Okay.
So you guys should see it now. And let me if you don't.
Can you hear us?
Oh, hear you just fine.
Okay. All right. I'd like to welcome everybody. This is Chuck Mazzetti, and I have Sarah Shetler with me. I want to thank you for taking a little time out hopefully we're going to give you something of value. I don't want to take too much of your time. We want to give you a good overview and explanation, but also make sure we take enough time to answer any questions that you might have. I would imagine that some of you are familiar with employee assistance programs, or maybe you've got a limited knowledge of employee assistance programs, so hopefully some of this won't be repetitive or uninteresting. We have been, Mazzetti & Sullivan, to give you a little background, has been in business since 1983. We've been doing this for more than 32 years. We provide services to literally hundreds and hundreds of companies throughout the Northeast region of the United States and across America. We have a network that includes more than 3,000 therapists that your employees can choose from if they're going for direct services. That background gives us the ability and has given us the opportunity to not only develop and administer employee assistance programs, but to take a look at what the needs are of our corporate and employers and make sure that we're designing benefits that meet the needs of them as well as their employees and their employees' family members, so that we can be the most effective ancillary benefit that they offer to their staff. So, to give you a good overview of what it is we do, I'm going to have Sarah run through what the expectations are in terms of what we hope you get out of this as we go through the rest of the webinar.
There we go. All right, just to start off here, we want to make sure everyone's on the same page and that everyone knows exactly what an EAP is, so that when you're meeting with your clients, you can kind of explain it to them. How are you going to sell them on something if you don't know what it is you're selling? So in addition to that, we also want you to understand what makes us different, what sets us apart from other EAPs. We want you to know exactly why your client should even consider having us as a benefit, and just putting us in competition with other benefits that are out there. And then, of course, we want you to know the benefits of an EAP. Why is this important to your clients, and why is it important to you as their agent or their broker? So these are all things that hopefully you'll be able to grasp at the end of this. So as an EAP, what is that? Sometimes we get employees of companies call and they're not even sure what the EAP is. So what it is an ancillary benefit offered by employers with the intent to help their employees handle personal problems that may be affecting their work performance. It might be affecting their physical health, or just overall well-being in general. This benefit is voluntary. It's not something that employees have to sign up for. It is free to the employees. This is a benefit that is completely paid for by the employer, by your client. And as Sam mentioned earlier, I think that doctors, businesses, the community in general is really realizing how important it is to have mental health treatment, to have counseling. So EAPs have really grown over the past, I don't know, Chuck, how many, 30 years?
Oh, at least. At least. Yeah, the history goes back into the late 70s easily, when these programs were called occupational social work programs. And the organization that started it all off was called ALMACA, and they were born out of the auto industry, where they needed to do something with the program, with the employees that they had suffering from alcoholism. So you see that there's a strong tie historically to drug and alcohol counseling. In the late 70s, early 80s, programs were expanded to include any personal problem that's affecting your employees' ability to do their job at their best and be the kind of employees that you would want carrying forward your brand and helping you maximize your services and profits.
And under the EAP, the kinds of services that we have available, and you have to think about it, we have two clients as an EAP. You have the corporate side, so you have the business, the employer, and then you have their employees and their family members. So we kind of split the benefits up so it's easier for you to kind of conceptualize. We do cover all employees, whether they're full-time, part-time, if they're seasonal, union, non-union, we cover everyone. They do not have to be on their health insurance. That doesn't matter for this. We are completely separate from health insurance plans. The employer also gets a dedicated account manager. They have access to supervisor trainings. There's a handbook that goes along with that. You get annual EAP orientations where the account manager comes on site and goes over the benefit with your employees. As Chuck mentioned earlier, we do have a nationwide provider network of over 3,000 clinicians. Our services are available any time of day through the telephone, web-based, you have it. And then as far as the employee benefits, what we provide, the kind of core of it is the outpatient counseling services, the direct services, but we also have elder care services available, financial counseling. Those are all included. Those are in contracts no matter what. And these services are available for all residents of the employee's home. So if an employee works for ABC company, that employee, anyone that lives in that household, including dependents up to 26 years of age, they're covered too. So this means mom, if they have parents living with them, they're covered. Kids away at school, if you have stepkids, they're all covered as well. The employees also have access to monthly newsletters, promotional items such as brochures, posters, that sort of thing. We have, as I mentioned, telephonic and web-based services for them. If they prefer not to have that personal contact, we do have other services available. And we have community resource referrals as well.
There are also a lot of ancillary services that we have in addition to the EAP, which are can be included in the contracts if your employers are looking for these specific kinds of things. One of them is CISM, Critical Incident Stress Management. A lot of times we provide those services to banks if there's a bank robbery by putting counselors on site. One of our contracts covers 490 school districts in Pennsylvania, and if there is, unfortunately, a bomb, a shooting, a stabbing at the school, we are the group that coordinates and makes sure that the counselors go on site through that contract. The last major incident that we had, I don't know if any of you were in Pennsylvania, was at Franklin Regional out near Pittsburgh in the Murraysville area, and the staff had counselors on site within minutes, literally, to make sure that the employees and the staff were taken care of, as well as also, I think, providing some services to the kids. However, in addition to CISM, we can also do employee trainings. We have over 100 different topics. Employers tell us they want training on how to deal with stress, how to manage your time, how to deal with difficult coworkers. The list goes on and on. How to identify drug and alcohol problems at work, how to deal with sexual harassment. So there are literally over 100 different training topics that we can provide to your employers to help them meet their training needs for their staff to make them the best they can be. We have a whole set of employee assessment tools that people can use to help them in employee development, career development, and organizational development. We offer mediation services. When the kids just don't play well in the sandbox, we have staff that specialize in going on site and working with individuals or groups to try and get them to understand each other, to work through any issues, and make sure that they can be a more effective and more cohesive team. We also have recently developed an entire comprehensive retirement workshop, which is not based on finance. Most of what we've discovered is that a lot of the retirement services that are out there focus on finance, and what we're finding with our clients is they don't know what they're going to be retiring to. They know whether or not they have enough money. They know, what they've talked to their financial advisors about, but they haven't taken a good look at their life, at their circumstances, at their dreams, desires, and what are they going to do with that last third of their life? And this retirement workshop is one of the things that addresses that. It comes with a manual that's over 200 pages in allowing people to individually develop a program that will suit them as they enter this next phase of their life. One of the other things that we do is executive coaching. When the executives don't play well in the sandbox, a lot of times companies will refer them here, and we'll do coaching to try and get them to understand how their style may or may not be working, the way they interact with their peers, with the expectations they have of their staff, and how they can work better on the management team more effectively. So those things are certainly part of what we like to do. The other thing that we can tell you is we put together an entire consortium of services that we call From Pre-Hire to Retire. And what that means is we can help you take a look at who are the best candidates to hire. We have a whole system of services for that. It could be part of the employee's benefit package. We also have counseling, professional development, team building, progress monitoring, coaching, and then job exit interviews, and as well as retirement planning, and that's just all part of the ancillary stuff that we do. There we go.
There we go.
What's the difference?
They're all the same.
They're all the same. One of the things that we run into constantly with our competitors is this. We have always been on the forefront of developing the benefit model to constantly address and meet the current needs of employers and their employees and family members. And because of that, a lot of times the competition is constantly playing catch up. So when we go in and say, well, you know, we offer a 3-session model of counseling free to all your employees, the competition says, so do we. Well, we offer it for your employees and their families. Well, so do we. And a lot of times, one of the things that we've learned over the years is, if your marketing campaign is such that you can put anybody's name on it, then you're really not doing marketing. So for us, we have to be able to delineate what is the difference between the way we do things and the way everybody else does things. And there is a huge difference. Some of it is in benefit design, and some of it is in service delivery. And I think right now is when we're going to get into the meat of it just a little bit more. One of the reasons that I think we have superior customer service is with our account management team. They are dedicated to each contract. Every one of your customers that contracts with Mazzetti and Sullivan will have an account manager, not that they just talk to on the phone, but they get to visit and see and build a working relationship with. So they have somebody that they can connect to, somebody that they can rely on. In order to demonstrate what that's like, I have one sitting here next to me. Sarah, would you like to tell them a lot about what you're doing?
Sure. I am one of the account managers here at Mazzetti and Sullivan. So we, as account managers, for your clients, they can think of us as their personal EAP guru. If they have any questions about the EAP, really in general, there's no such thing as a dumb question when it comes to the EAP, because we would rather have our clients consult with us than never know the answer or do something incorrectly, or just not know where to refer an employee. So with that, I mean, part of our job is just always staying in touch with our contacts, which typically is someone in HR or the business office, depending on how the company's set up and organized. But we answer any questions. We coordinate services for them, and that can be for our corporate contacts, or it could be the employees of that company. We are responsible for coordinating on-site trainings if they have a training request, if they want someone to come in and talk about leadership with their team members. That's something we help them out with. The employees, we are the first lines of communication for the company's employees that call in looking for services. So really, I mean, it's our job to kind of converse with them and just really dig to find what it is exactly they're looking for. If the employee wants to see a female counselor on a Tuesday night after 5 p.m., specializes with kids, and does Christian counseling, it's our job to find that out and point them in the right direction. So that's really a huge part of our job.
One of the things that I think is important to realize when we talk about how the account managers coordinate services, a lot of our competitors say, well, you know what, just go to the website and pick one of our counselors. We have nothing to hide. Think about that. If you want to go onto a website and you're looking for somebody to help you with your marriage, are you just going to pick a name off of a list? Or are you going to be a little more comfortable calling somebody that does this day in and day out and says, here's the whole list of people that we work with. These are the ones that specialize in family and marital issues. These are the ones that meet your criteria and what you're looking for. Let us personally coordinate this, make the connections, and then follow the case to make sure that you're satisfied with the services. I think that's a huge difference. And we still do it that way. It costs more, but I think people would rather talk to a person than just look at a website.
Yeah, and I mean, the scope of our role even goes to finding community resources for people. I mean, we get calls that don't typically sound like they belong to an employee assistance program, someone that would be going to an EAP for. I mean, we've had people call in looking for discounted water heaters, which we did find, by the way. So it's not a typical phone call, but we don't say no to people. We offer to help them in any possible way we can. We just had a client call in about a month ago or so. It was the employee of a company, but their child was deaf. So we had to figure out a way to find counseling for this child that worked. So we found an interpreter for them, got them set up with a counselor. So those are just two examples of ways that as an account manager, we go beyond just a list of providers on a website. And then we'll get into the counseling session model. The 3-session model is by far the most common. We do have other models available, but I think companies typically go with the 3-session model just because it's so comprehensive. You don't really need a whole lot more than 3 for the majority of companies. And how this works is that each person in the employee's home gets 3 counseling sessions. So for example, for a family of 4, they could potentially have 12 sessions to use. Mom has 3, Dad has 3, Jimmy and Timmy each have 3. And what we also do, that's not just 3 sessions per year. They can be authorized for 3 more sessions as long as there's a 2-month break in services. So just as an easy example for you on the screen here, if Mom wants to use her 3 sessions in March for a personal issue, but down the road in August, maybe Timmy is having issues with going back to school and she really wants to go to a counselor with him, she can be authorized for 3 more for herself and 3 for Timmy, giving them a total of 6 sessions that they can go to counseling together, which I believe is far different than any other EAP out there.
Many of our competitors offer 3 sessions for each person in the family, but you only get that once a year. Or they give you 3 sessions for each person in the family for problem situations, but they have limits on the number of times that you can come and use those. We don't put restrictions on the number of times people can use it. We look at this much the same way that we look at the health insurance model. Would you buy a health insurance plan that you could only use once a year? I wouldn't. So I don't think people want a program that provides counseling and community resources services that they can only access or use once a year. And because the model is so expandable, if a husband and wife come for counseling, they can come 6 times. If they bring the kids, they can come, however many kids they have times 3. That's a model that can literally, in many cases, replace the mental health benefits on the health care and lower the experience and the claims experience, which can have a very good impact on overall cost. Program utilization, the national average is about 4% of employees using the EAP service. Our annual utilization experience is 8 to 10%. 8 to 10%, more than twice what the national average is. Now, one of the things that a lot of vendors do is manipulate what utilization means. Some of them count every click on their website as utilization. So if you go and look at their website and go through the pages, you could be representing 10 to 15 people actually using their services. We think that's dishonest or disingenuous at least. In our model, most of the utilization is actual face-to-face counseling, actual account manager work with HR, supervisors, managers on how to deal with employee situations, actual on-site services for crises or training or other things. So we get a much higher penetration and utilization rate of actual direct services than almost anybody else. Because of the way we design it, most of our clients that come through EAP for counseling never use their health insurance. And that's a big plus for anybody that's in business that has a CFO and has to take a look at the bottom line. One of the things that can be a real benefit of this program for your clients is that By doing this correctly, you can use it as a way to contain costs. One of the contracts that we have covers 26,000 employees in 43 counties throughout Pennsylvania, and that contract, cost containment, the program was put in place to try and reduce the pressure on workers' compensation, and what we found was that 1 year after we fully implemented the program, the workers' compensation utilization costs dropped by over $1 million. We had other employers. We had one that had about 2,600 employees. They had an EAP. They were getting about 2% utilization. We took the program over. The next year, the utilization jumped to 14%, and their health insurance costs decreased by $900,000. So again and again, if you put a fully functional, rich benefit EAP in place, you can see that it reduces costs in other areas like healthcare and other things related to employee performance like absenteeism and turnover. So it's not just well, this is something that's nice to do. It's something that really can impact your workforce and improve their productivity and decrease your overall costs in terms of your employees and their attendance and their productivity. The benefits to you. Now this is the interesting part and probably the thing that you're most interested in. I know I would be. There are a couple of ways to look at this. When you're partnering with anybody that offers a benefit like this, you want to make sure that you're offering your client companies a really good quality product that you're going to be able to stand behind. You're not going to want to get blindsided with, boy, those people are lousy. They don't do a good job. We had this problem. We had that problem. Nothing ruins your hard work more than a relationship like that. That's why we're so confident that this could be a good thing for you and for us. After 32 years, our record speaks for itself. We can give you literally hundreds of testimonials from people that are pleased with our services, and I think the biggest thing that speaks to that is this quite simple statistic here. We have a 98% renewal rate year over year, 98%. So I think that says a lot about the job that we're doing. Your clients will feel good about being able to do this. There's nothing more rewarding than when one of your employees comes up and says, we were having a lot of problems with Junior. We called the EAP. Those people were wonderful. Junior seems to be back on his feet and on the right track. I can't thank you enough that we have this benefit here. They feel good. They get problems at home solved. They're better employees. You feel good about being able to help them. They appreciate you as an employer. This can also save your clients money on their health care plans. Again, because 90% of our employees that go through the EAP don't access their health insurance benefits, it reduces their claims experience and can impact the price going forward. And we all know how volatile health insurance prices are these days. The last two pieces, one of the goals is to make sure that when you offer a product, it's the best. We hope to provide the best possible service to your clients. Our reputation means everything to us. We're not a division of some other company. This is what we do. This is our focus. We look good. You look good. Your employers look good. It ingrains you into that relationship with them. It makes you their go-to person for other benefits and services when they see what a great job the EAP has done, and further builds that relationship to make it ongoing and long-term. The last piece, and most important, is that we have designed this particular project with URL to be a commissionable product. And by commissionable, I mean that, I think, Sam, are you there? Sam disappeared. Oh, he's there, but he can't hear.
Here, I just had you on mute.
Oh, did you? You had me on mute. How commissionable is this thing, Sam? This partnership, every time that you bring a contract to Mazzetti and Sullivan through URL, you'll be able to earn a commission on those services as long as the program goes forward. So it's initial, it's repeatable, and again, since we have a 98% retention rate, it's one of those things that once you put it in place, you don't have to worry about it.
All right, so if you do have clients that may be interested, or if you have clients in mind, if you want to approach your clients with this, what do you do from here? Feel free to contact Jessica or Sam at URL, and they can get you hooked up with a request for EAP Services packet. And there's a form with that. And in that packet, it just generally explains what we discussed with you today. And there is a form that you fill out with your client, some really kind of basic information just so we know enough to get a proposal together for you. And after you submit that, you will then be sent the proposal, and a representative from Mediation Sullivan may be able to co-present with you. That's something we really strive for, is meeting with your clients in person with you so they fully understand everything. They can ask us questions if they have questions. So that's definitely an option. And so with that, we'll leave you with some testimonials. And if you have any questions, now would be the time. And we'll hand it back over to Sam, I suppose.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was having a little technical difficulty over here.
We thought you fell asleep, Sam.
Yeah.
No. Well, I had heard that there was some static on there, so I hope that I hope went through all right.
Yeah.
Now, I don't see any. It was it on me. Okay. Well, I do. I mean, we have the packets here, and Chuck and Sarah were kind enough to not just give us a packet, but it's a packet that you can take with you to your client. Obviously, read it before you can go in, but it has just about anything you could need for any type of question that's going to come up. So if they ask about one of the services that the two of them covered today, it's all in here, so you can just reference this and go through it. You know, also, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. If you're going to be with a client and you need a little bit of help, reach out to me and let me know, and we'll see what we can do to accommodate. And then the last page, it has a really nice form so that not only do you know what they might be interested in, but it helps you follow this to make sure you go over everything this program can cover. So I personally, for those of you that don't know, I was a sort of a broker in my past life, so I have some clients, and I took this out to the street to see what they thought, and they're all very, very interested in it. I will leave the competition nameless, but there was absolutely no comparison between what this group currently had in place and Mediation Sullivan. And so many of you on the call may or may not know that Lancaster was had an EAP provider, and I guess, Chuck, you might be able to explain a little bit more than this, but they sort of fell apart. It wasn't too long ago, right? About 5 years ago?
Yeah, just in the last couple of years, the major provider in Lancaster County decided to retire. And he said, I really, really don't want the competitors to get my business. I really wish you would be able to get the business. I said, well, we'll go out there and talk to him, but none of his accounts were assignable. Nothing was transferable. We had to go out and compete against every other EAP, because once the word hit the street, they were in town from all over the country. We targeted 60 companies in Lancaster County that we thought were a good fit for what we do and the way we do things, and went and talked to all 60. Out of the 60 that we talked to, we signed 52 of them. And the other 9, 10, 11 vendors split up the other 8. So some of them walked away with nothing. Some of them walked away with 1 or 2. We ended up with 52 contracts. And that's,
wow.
Again, when you look at the way we do things and how we do things, I think it makes a world of difference, because for us, it's all about building a relationship and taking care of the employer as well as their employees and families.
Well said. Chuck and Sarah, we had one question come in during that last piece. The question is, okay, what does it cost the employer? Okay.
I think the cost for our expandable three-session model at this point is around $18.50, but that includes a commission. So I think that that's competitive with what we see out there on a day-to-day basis. That may change based on The location, I mean, if you bring me a contract opportunity in New York City, the costs are going to be higher than if you bring me one out of Quarryville or Easton or Murraysville, where the cost would probably be lower. So that's around what we would charge, and that's $18 per covered employee per year. Provide services to the employee, all their family members as often as they want to use it. Includes all promotional and publicity material. Includes orientations and training programs about the EAP for the staff and the supervisors and managers, and 24 hours, 365 day a year phone support.
Man, all you're missing are the Ginsu knives. You'd be good go. You know, and
we're excited about
so, it. Oh, you should be, because the model that one of our clients had was charging $130 per session after they hit, I think it was 2 sessions, and that's
wow.
The way I read the contract. That's a deterrent for anyone to reach out with issues, because they have to get in their pocket after that.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame, and we try to make sure that we partner people with a therapist that not only matches what they need clinically, but also accepts their insurance if it goes beyond what the benefit model provides. However, how many times do people access it? What's the rate? Close to 90%. They don't even use it.
They were, I think they were 2%.
Yeah. So it's very different. Sometimes, sometimes the way these services are designed are not as crystal clear as what they say on the brochure. For us, the goal is helping to solve problems, create them, and when you do that, everybody wins. Everybody.
So, Chuck, we just popped on our screen. I'm going to change presenter here and show my screen.
Okay.
We have a poll for before you exit. And where did it go? Here it is.
I see something.
So they'd like to know if anyone would like to follow up after the webinar. So I won't vote. Chuck, you won't vote, but everyone else please vote. And then we'd be happy to follow up with you and answer any questions that you have. So Chuck, Sarah, thank you so much. It was informational.
You.
And I love, you're always so welcome. I love what you guys do. You help people. And you really do. You put the group and the people before yourselves, and it shows.
Well, yeah, the mission, we're passionate about what we do. And I think that makes a huge difference.
Well, that's great. We hope to put a lot of people in touch with you, too. So Thanks for everyone. We're going to conclude today's call. Thanks, everyone on the call, for stopping by, and have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, Sam.
All right, you're welcome.